Welcome to the 10th lecture in this lecture series introducing the subject of international investment law. In the last video, we discussed certain general aspects relating to the question, who is an investor? In this video, we will look at how the question is answered from the perspective of natural persons. Before we go into the question, we need to note an important facet of the ISDS system. The investment treaties allow investors, be it natural persons or business entities, to directly invoke the investment treaty and raise claims against the host state. This is even without needing to involve the country to which the investor belongs. For example, in an investment treaty, say between India and USA, if an Indian investor wants to bring about a claim against the United States, he or she need not implicate India as a party. This is advantageous because the dispute stays a legal dispute rather than a political dispute between two sovereign states. Now, coming back to the issue of natural persons, whether a natural person belongs to a contracting party is determined by the test of nationality. But how is nationality determined? Should nationality be determined according to the law of the host state or that of the investor? In accordance with the jurisprudence of the IIL, nationality is determined as per the laws of the country whose nationality is claimed. In Saufraki versus UAE is the leading cases on the issue. The claim arose in relation to a concession agreement between Dubai Development of Ports and Customs and Saufraki, who is described in the agreement between them as a Canadian national. Saufraki, in his claim before ICSID, invoked the Italy-UAE BIT and described them as an Italian national and not a Canadian national. The tribunal decided Saufraki's nationality as per Italian law and held that by acquiring Canadian nationality, he has lost his Italian nationality. The tribunal stated, but it is no less accepted that when in international arbitral or judicial proceedings, the nationality of a person is challenged, the international tribunal is competent to pass upon that challenge. It will accord great weight to the nationality of the state in question and to the interpretation and application of that law by its authorities. But it will in the end decide for itself whether on facts and law before it, the person whose nationality is at issue was or was not a national of the state in question, and when and what follows from that finding. Interestingly, the tribunal held that great weight would be accorded to the law of the country whose nationality is claimed, but the tribunal will determine for itself that question. The tribunal also held the burden of proof regarding assertion by the claimant of nationality is on the claimant. The tribunal also went into the question as to whether the claimant resided in Italy for a year so as to acquire nationality as per Italian laws, but decided against the claimant because of the claimant's failure to discharge the burden of proof. Ultimately, the tribunal dismissed the claim. Now, we will deal with another question. What happens in case of dual citizenship? In dual citizenship, a person holds citizenship of two countries. Some investment treaties address these aspects. For instance, Article 8.1 of the EU-Canada Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement provides that if a person is a citizen of Canada but has accepted nationality of an EU state, the dominant and effective nationality test has to be adopted. But what is this dominant and effective nationality test? In Liza Ballantyne and Michael Ballantyne versus the Dominican Republic, a PCA case under the Dominican Republic Central America US Free Trade Agreement 2004, the elements to identify dominant and effective nationality was laid down. These elements are the state of habitual residence, the circumstances in which the second nationality was acquired, the individual's personal attachment to a particular country, and the center of the person's economic, social, and family life. Since these requirements were not satisfied in the case, the tribunal declined jurisdiction. In Serafin Garcia Armas versus Venezuela, a PCA case, the tribunal refused to decline jurisdiction even though the claims were initiated by dual Spanish Venezuelan nationals against Venezuela on the ground that there was a lack of express prohibition for such claims in the Spain Venezuela BIT. However, this decision has been annulled by the French courts on the ground that such a determination by the tribunal was wrong. Some BITs, such as the Colombia-Turkey BIT and the Egypt-Mauritius BIT, expressly exclude dual nationals from protection under the investment treaty. Now, as far as the exit practice is concerned, Article 25(2)(a) of the Exit Convention defines national of another contracting state to mean any natural person who had acquired the nationality of a contracting state other than the state party to the dispute on the date on which parties consented to submit such dispute to conciliation or arbitration, as well as on the date on which the request was registered. It also goes on to say, but the phrase national of another contracting state does not include any person who, on either date, also had the nationality of the contracting state party to the dispute. More on the question who is an investor in the next lecture.